My hands wouldn't stop shaking as I raised the tranquilizer dart, and for once, it wasn't the arthritis. 3 feet away, yellow eyes locked onto mine, wild, intelligent, unblinking. Ghost. That's what I'd come to call him in the 30 seconds since I'd stumbled into this clearing. 180 pounds of gray wolf, standing between me and the cave where his mate lay dying. Behind him I could hear her, Luna's ragged breathing, the wet sound of failed contractions. 5 unborn pups, maybe 6, running out of time. I'm 62 years old. I thought I'd buried my last hope with my son 5 years ago. I was wrong. The wolf's growl vibrated through my chest. One wrong move and I'd never see another birthday. But if I walked away now, this entire family would be dead by sunrise. I pressed my thumb against the plunger. Leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments, along with the city you're watching from. Now, let's continue with the story. This morning started like every morning for the past 5 years. I woke up at 6, made coffee I didn't want, and talked to Michael's photograph on the mantel. "Morning, baby," I whispered to his smiling face in dress uniform. 24 years old forever. The calendar on my kitchen wall had a single notation. Michael, 5 years gone. The pension check sat on the table. $1,200. Beside it, the bills fanned out like accusation. Medical debt balance of $47,000, heart medication $300 a month, rent, utilities. My calculator had given up trying to make the numbers work. I'd given up months ago. I looked at my left hand, 3 fingers instead of 5. Lost the pinky and ring finger 15 years back. The vet practice I'd built over 30 years died with those fingers. Early retirement, they called it. Forced retirement was more accurate. Now, I folded shirts at Walmart 4 days a week and tried not to notice how customers looked through me like I was already a ghost myself. My husband Richard had been gone 7 years. Found him in his home office, slumped over papers he wouldn't let me read. Heart attack, the doctors said. I'd stopped asking questions I didn't want answered. The house felt too big, too quiet. I'd counted the other day, 87 days since my phone last rang. My son was dead. My husband was dead. My career was dead. Most days I felt like I was just waiting for the rest of me to catch up. But this morning, something pulled at me. Call it instinct, call it desperation, I don't know. I looked out the window at the mountains and thought, one more time. One last hike through Lamar Valley before the snow came and I couldn't afford the gas money anymore. I packed light. Water bottle, granola bar, my old veterinary bag I couldn't quite throw away. The bag still had supplies for my last day of practice, expired tranquilizers, sutures, bandages. Useless now, but I carried it anyway. Habits die hard. I left a note on the kitchen table. If I don't return, donate whatever's left. Dark humor, maybe, or just honesty. At 62, with a bad heart and 3 fingers, I wasn't sure anyone would notice if I didn't come back. The drive to Yellowstone took 40 minutes. Sunrise broke over the mountains in shades of gold and purple, beautiful enough to hurt. The radio played our wedding song. I turned it off. I parked at the Lamar Valley trailhead and saw storm clouds gathering in the distance. The Weather Service had issued warnings. I ignored them. What was nature going to do? Kill me? I almost laughed. I shouldered my bag and started walking into the wilderness. My 3-fingered hand gripped the strap. My bad heart beat steady, but tired. I had no idea that a mile up that trail, a miracle and a nightmare were waiting for me in equal measure. Half a mile into the hike, I heard it. A howl, but not like any wolf sound I'd heard in 40 years of living near Yellowstone. This one had structure to it. almost rhythmic, deliberate. It cut through the morning air and stopped me cold. Then it came again, closer this time, desperate. My veterinary instincts kicked in before my common sense could stop them. That wasn't a hunting call or territorial warning. That was distress. I heard my father's voice in my head clear as yesterday. Never look away when something suffers, Sarah. That's cowardice. He'd said that to me when I was 12, watching him work on an injured deer. I'd turned away from the blood. He'd made me look back. I should have kept walking, should have minded my own business. But grief does strange things to a person, makes you reckless. Makes you think that maybe, just maybe, saving something else might fill the hole inside you. I followed the sound-off trail. The terrain got rough fast, rocky inclines, dense pine forest. My breathing turned labored. The heart medication was supposed to help with this, but $300 a month doesn't buy miracles. I stopped, fumbled for the pill bottle, dry swallowed one. The third howl came from just beyond a rock formation ahead. But now I heard something else underneath it, a whimpering sound. Female, in pain. I pushed through the last cluster of pines and emerged into a small clearing. That's when I saw him. The wolf was massive, easily 180 pounds, maybe more. Gray-silver coat with scars notching both ears. His back right leg carried a limp as he paced frantically back and forth in front of a cave entrance. 10 steps forward, turn, 10 steps back. Over and over. The pattern was too deliberate, too measured, like he was thinking. He spotted me and froze mid-pace. Time stopped. We stared at each other across 30 feet of mountain grass. His eyes were yellow, bright and intelligent in a way that made my skin prickle. I stopped breathing. This was the part where he should have charged or run. That's what wolves do. But he did neither. He watched me for 30 full seconds. I watched him back. Some kind of assessment was happening. I could feel it. Then he made his decision. He turned, walked to the cave entrance, and looked back at me over his shoulder. The gesture was unmistakable. Follow me. This doesn't happen, I whispered to myself. Wolves don't do this. But my feet were already moving. I approached slowly, hands visible and empty. He allowed me within 10 feet, closer than any wild wolf should tolerate. The smell hit me before I saw inside. Blood and fear and something primal. I pulled the flashlight from my bag with shaking hands. The 3-fingered hand made it awkward, but I managed. The beam cut through the darkness. Inside the cave, a female wolf lay on her side, smaller than the male, darker coat, sides heaving with contractions that produced nothing. Blood pooled beneath her, too much blood. Her eyes found mine in the flashlight beam, and I swear to God I saw understanding there, pleading. My professional assessment came automatic after all these years. Dystocia. Obstructed labor. Without intervention, she'd be dead in hours. The pups, too. The male positioned himself between me and her, but he didn't growl, didn't bare teeth. He was allowing me to look, not to touch, not yet. It's okay, I heard myself saying softly. I can see what's wrong. The pup's stuck. She can't deliver without help. The male wolf tilted his head like he was listening. Coincidence, had to be. I backed out of the cave, slowly. Needed to think. The male followed me out and sat down facing me, waiting. My mind raced through the impossible situation. No proper equipment, no backup if he attacked, no cell signal to call for help. My 3-fingered hand might not be steady enough.
I could die right here, and no one would find me for days. But that female was dying. Those pups were dying. I pulled out my old vet bag and found the tranquilizer dart I'd carried for 15 years. Expired, probably unreliable. I calculated the dosage for a wolf her size. 1 shot. That's all I had. The male watched every movement. "I'm going to help her," I said, surprised at the steadiness in my voice. "Please don't kill me for it." He stepped aside.
My hands shook as I loaded the dart. I looked into those yellow eyes one more time. "You understand, don't you?" I think he did. God help me, I think he did. I entered the cave with the loaded dart, and the male followed inches behind me. I could feel his breath on my neck. Every instinct screamed danger, but I pushed forward. The female was too weak to be a threat, but I stayed cautious anyway. I kept talking, my voice low, steady, explaining every movement. "I'm going to give you something to help you sleep. It'll hurt for just a second, then you won't feel the rest." My 3-fingered hand trembled as I positioned the dart at her shoulder. Age, fear, and 15 years of phantom pain made my grip clumsy. I took a deep breath. "Forgive me." The dart punctured her hide. She yelped, a sound that cut right through me. The male behind me released a low growl that made my blood turn cold. I froze, every muscle locked. "Please," I whispered, "please don't." But he moved past me, not toward me. He went to her, lowering his massive head to lick her face in long, gentle strokes, comforting his mate. The tenderness of it nearly broke me. The sedation would take 5 minutes. I used the time to examine the cave more closely. The walls weren't just rock. There were markings, old ones. I'd taken enough anthropology courses in college to recognize Native American pictographs when I saw them, symbols of wolves and humans standing together. This was a spiritual site, sacred ground. And then I saw it. Buried in the debris near the female's neck, something that didn't belong. I reached down, brushing away dried grass and dirt. My fingers, all 3 of them, closed around leather, old, rotted leather. A collar. My heart stopped. I pulled it free, clearing more debris. There was a brass tag, tarnished but readable. The engraving said, "Project Moonlight, 1993, Dr. R. Winters." The flashlight slipped from my hand. R. Winters. Richard Winters. My father. My hands shook so violently I nearly dropped the collar. The male wolf reacted to my distress with a low whine, but I barely heard it. Memories crashed over me like a wave. My father's late nights in his locked office, the classified papers he'd never discuss, his paranoia in those final years, always looking over his shoulder, jumping at phone calls. His death, ruled natural but timing so suspicious. My mother's silence about his work, even on her own deathbed. I turned the collar over with shaking fingers, more engraving on the back. F3, female, 12. F3, 3rd generation. I knew enough genetics to understand what that meant. This wolf wasn't pure. She was a hybrid. Wolf-dog cross. "Oh God," I whispered. "What did you do, Dad?" It explained everything. The abnormal size, the intelligence that seemed too human, the male allowing me close, behavior no wild wolf would display. I looked at the male, really looked at him. In the dim light, I could see scar tissue around his neck where a collar had been removed. He was from the same program. He had to be. The female's breathing pulled me back to the present. The sedation was taking effect. I had maybe 30 minutes before she'd wake up, no time to process this nightmare. I knelt beside her, forcing my veterinary training to override my shock. First pup was visible in the birth canal, stuck. Large pup, narrow pelvis, classic dystocia. I needed to extract it manually, but I had no proper tools. I pulled out my pocket knife, sterilized it with hand sanitizer. It would have to do. The male paced the perimeter now, a low rumble in his throat. He sensed the urgency. "I need you to trust me," I told him. "This is going to look violent, but I'm trying to save them." I began the manual extraction, my abbreviated hand making everything harder. Gentle manipulation, trying to shift the pup into a better position. My arthritic joints screamed. Decades-old pain from the injury that ended my career flared hot and sharp. The pup shifted. I applied more pressure, working blind by feel. My 3 fingers felt clumsy, inadequate. Success. The first pup slipped free, not breathing. I cleared its airway quickly, rubbed it vigorously with my jacket. "Come on, come on." A tiny gasp, then a squeak. Alive. The male moved toward us immediately, but I held up my hand. "Wait. There are more." Second pup came easier, alive right away, squirming and vocalizing. Third pup was stuck worse than the first. Time was running out. The sedation wouldn't last much longer. My hands cramped so badly I could barely grip. Tears of frustration burned my eyes. "I can't do this," I gasped. "I'm too old, too broken." The male did something I'll never forget. He walked over, lay down beside me, and placed his enormous head in my lap. The weight of it, the warmth, the impossible trust. I found new strength, delivered the third pup. Fourth and fifth came quickly after, all alive, all squirming and crying. I collapsed against the cave wall, completely spent. The male immediately went to the pups, licking them, warming them with his body. The female was beginning to stir. 5 healthy pups, against every odd. Despite my broken hand, my age, my fear. "We did it," I breathed. The collar still lay where I'd dropped it, evidence of my father's secret work. Proof that these wolves were illegal under current law. Proof that could get them killed. I picked it up and put it in my pocket. Some secrets, Dad had said, protect. Some destroy. I wasn't sure which this one was yet. The female, Luna, I'd started calling her in my mind, woke disoriented, but immediately sought her pups. The male guided her with gentle nudges, and within minutes all 5 were nursing. I sat against the cave wall, too exhausted to move, watching this family that shouldn't exist. The male kept one eye on his mate and pups, the other on me. Protective, but not threatening. I'd crossed some invisible threshold with him, earned something. My mind kept circling back to the collar in my pocket. My father had been part of this, had created these wolves, or helped create them. The weight of that knowledge sat heavy in my chest. I knew what I should do, report them, call park services, let the authorities handle it. But authorities would see that collar, run DNA tests, and euthanize every wolf in this cave. Protocol demanded it. Hybrids weren't protected under conservation laws. My father had hidden these wolves for a reason. He'd died protecting this secret. I made my decision. Luna needed post-operative care, monitoring for infection, proper nutrition, wound management. I needed help, but not the kind that came with badges and protocols. I stood on shaky legs. The male immediately rose with me, blocking the exit. "I need to get help for her," I said softly. "I'll come back, I promise." He didn't move. We had another staring contest. This one lasted 20 minutes, him standing firm, me trying patience I didn't have. Finally, he stepped aside. But he followed me out of the cave. The descent was brutal. My body had burned through its adrenaline, leaving only pain and exhaustion. Every step sent jolts through my arthritic joints. The male followed 50 feet behind, stopping when I stopped, moving when I moved. He was making sure I kept my promise, or making sure I didn't bring back a threat. Maybe both. I reached my truck just after noon. The male stopped at the tree line, sitting like a sentinel. I waved, feeling foolish but compelled. "I'm coming back, with help." He stayed motionless as I pulled out my phone. 1 bar of signal, enough. I scrolled through my contacts to a name I hadn't called in 5 years. Dr. Evelyn Marsh. We'd worked together before my injury, before Michael died. She'd been young then, fresh out of veterinary school, brilliant and eager. I'd been her mentor for 2 years. Then my son died, and I stopped answering everyone's calls, including hers. The phone rang 4 times. I almost hung up. "Dr. Winters?" Her voice carried surprise and something else, concern maybe. "Is everything okay?" "Evelyn, I need your help." "Of course." "Anything. What's wrong?" I chose my words carefully. "I'm at Yellowstone. Found a wolf who had complications during birth. She needs monitoring. Can you come?" Silence. Then, "You're back in practice?" "No, this is personal." "Sarah, it's been 5 years since we talked." "I know. I'm sorry. But I need someone I can trust. Please." Another pause. "Where are you exactly?" I gave her the coordinates. She said she'd be there in an hour. She was working at the Yellowstone Research Center now, 20 miles away. While I waited, I pulled out the collar again. Studied every detail. The manufacturer's stamp on the buckle was from a defense contractor. Military connection. The date, June 1993, was just 2 months before my father died in August. I searched what I could on my phone with the weak signal. Found an archived newspaper article from 1993. Secret Wildlife Program terminated. The story was vague, heavily redacted. One anonymous scientist was quoted, "We played God. Now God is punishing us." A chill ran through me. What had my father been part of? Evelyn's vehicle pulled up exactly 60 minutes later. She emerged in field gear, medical kit in hand. At 29, she looked barely different than 5 years ago. Still had that eager, by-the-book energy. We stood in awkward silence. "You look tired," she finally said. "Don't we all at my age?" I deflected. She didn't laugh. "What are we dealing with?" I briefed her on Luna, the difficult birth, 5 surviving pups, the need for follow-up care. I didn't mention the collar, didn't mention the male's unusual behavior, didn't mention anything that would raise red flags. "We should notify Park Services," Evelyn said immediately. "This is their jurisdiction." "Not yet. Let me show you first." She frowned. "Sarah, there's protocol. I know the protocols. I also know that wolf will be dead by tomorrow without proper care. Can we argue about paperwork after we make sure she survives?" Evelyn studied me with those sharp young eyes. "What aren't you telling me?" "A lot. But right now that mother needs us more than you need answers."
She considered this, then nodded. Okay, but I'm documenting everything. The hike back up was harder this time. My body had nothing left. I stumbled twice. Evelyn offered to carry my bag. I've got it, I said, pride keeping me upright. You're limping. Old injury. I'm fine. She noticed my three-fingered hand then. I'd been keeping it in my pocket. Her expression softened. I never asked what happened. Different story for a different day. We reached the clearing. The male was visible immediately, standing on a rocky outcrop. Evelyn stopped dead.
Jesus, that's the biggest wolf I've ever seen.
Northern greys get large, I said, keeping my voice neutral. She pulled out measurement tools, estimated from a distance. 180 pounds minimum. That's abnormally large. Sarah, should we sedate him? No. He's protective, but not aggressive. How do you know? Because I spent 3 hours with him, and I'm still alive. Trust me. Trust you? I haven't heard from you in 5 years, and now you want me to approach what might be a dangerous... I'm asking you to trust the veterinarian I used to be, the one who taught you how to read animal behavior. That wolf is not the threat here. She stared at me, then at the male, then back at me. Finally, okay. But if he charges, I'm using the tranquilizer. We approached the cave together. The male allowed it, but his body language was tense, every muscle coiled, ready. Inside, Evelyn examined Luna with practiced efficiency. She checked vitals, inspected the lacerations, evaluated the nursing pups, professional and thorough. But I saw when she noticed something was off. Her skull structure, Evelyn murmured, running her hands over Luna's head. It's slightly unusual. And these paws. The size ratio is odd. My pulse quickened. Genetic variation. It happens. She examined the pups next, making notes. This litter has unusual color variation. This one here, she pointed to the lightest pup, might be albino. Rare, but documented. I looked closer. The pup was almost white, pale gray really, but lighter than any wolf pup I'd seen. Evelyn's phone alarm chimed. I need to get tissue samples back to the lab before 5 p.m. Standard protocol. Helps us track wolf health across the population. Panic flared. Is that necessary? She's been through enough. Evelyn gave me a strange look. It's non-invasive, just a fur sample. Why would you object? I couldn't give her a reason without revealing too much. I don't want to stress her more. Sarah, what's going on? Nothing. Do what you need to do. I watched her collect the sample, label it, seal it in a plastic bag. In 48 hours, the lab would run DNA analysis. In 48 hours, Luna's hybrid status would be revealed. I had 2 days to figure out what to do. Evelyn packed up her equipment. I'll come back tomorrow to monitor recovery. In the meantime, she needs rest and water. The pups look strong. We exited the cave. The male escorted us to the clearing's edge and sat. He really does seem to understand, Evelyn said, watching him. More than you know, I replied, before I could stop myself. She shot me a sharp look. What does that mean? Nothing, just... wolves are smarter than people think. At the parking area, Evelyn loaded her gear but didn't leave. She stood by her vehicle, arms crossed. Why did you really call me, Sarah? What do you mean? 5 years of silence. Then this. What aren't you telling me? I met her eyes. I needed someone I could trust. Trust with what? With doing the right thing, even when it's complicated. That's not an answer.
It's the only one I have right now." She studied me for a long moment. "You were the best veterinarian I ever worked with. But you're also the most stubborn. If you're in some kind of trouble, I'm not in trouble. I'm trying to keep someone else out of it." "The wolf?" "Yes." "Sarah, wolves are protected here. What could—" She stopped. Understanding dawned slowly. "Unless it's not a regular wolf." I said nothing. "The size, the behavior, the bone structure." Her voice dropped. "What is that animal?" "She's a mother who almost died giving birth. That's all that matters right now. That's not all that matters, and you know it. If there's something unusual about her genetics, the Park Service needs to— The Park Service will kill her!" The words burst out before I could stop them. "They'll kill her and the pups and the male and bury the evidence. Is that what you want?" Evelyn stepped back, shocked. "Why would they do that?" I pulled out the collar, held it up. "Because of this." She took it, read the engraving. Her face went pale. "Project Moonlight, 1993. Dr. R. Winters." She looked up at me. "Your father?" "Yes." "What was Project Moonlight?" "Something that was supposed to stay buried." "Sarah, if your father was involved in illegal wildlife, he was trying to save a species. The military wanted something else. He died protecting what he'd created. He died of a heart attack." "Did he? 3 months after a classified project was terminated? 3 other scientists from that program died within 5 years. All natural causes." Evelyn stared at the collar like it might bite her. "This is insane. What are you saying?" "I'm saying that wolf is evidence my father shouldn't have let survive. I'm saying powerful people wanted this program erased. I'm saying if you run that DNA test, you'll condemn an innocent animal to death for the crime of existing. I have to report this. It's the law. I'm asking you not to. As a colleague, as someone who once respected me. Sarah, 48 hours. That's all I need. Let me figure out how to protect them." "And if I say no?" I met her eyes. "Then I'll have to find another way." We stood in the parking lot as the sun began its descent. The weight of impossible choices hung between us. Finally, Evelyn said, "I'll see you tomorrow." She drove away without another word. I stood there, not sure if I'd just saved Luna or condemned us both. I was about to drive home when another vehicle pulled into the parking area. An old pickup truck, dusty and worn, with a cracked windshield. I didn't recognize it until the driver stepped out. Thomas Garrett. I'd know that weathered face anywhere. Thomas owned a ranch adjacent to the park, 200 acres of land that had been in his family for 3 generations. He was known around the community as a wolf hater, vocal at every town meeting about predator control. His wife had died years ago. Complications from stress, people said. A wolf attack on their livestock had triggered premature labor. The baby died. She never recovered. We'd never been friends, but we'd attended the same memorial service 5 years ago. His son and mine had served together in Afghanistan. He approached slowly, hands visible, not threatening, but not friendly either. "Heard you were up at Lamar this morning," he said. "How'd you hear that?" "Small community, rangers talk." He glanced at my truck, then back at me. "What were you doing up there?" "Hiking. It's public land." "With a young vet carrying lab equipment?" My blood ran cold. He'd been watching. "What do you want, Thomas? Want to know what you found up there?" I kept my face neutral. "Nothing that concerns you." "I know what's up there, Sarah. A wolf, a big one, with a mate and pups." My hand moved instinctively to my pocket where the collar sat. "Wolves are protected in this park." "Not all wolves," he emphasized the words. "Not special wolves." The air between us thickened. He knew. Somehow, he knew. "Your father and I have history," Thomas continued. "You knew my father?" "I knew what he did. Project Moonlight." The ground seemed to tilt under my feet. "I don't understand." Thomas's face hardened with old anger. 1995, 2 years after your father's project ended, a wolf attacked my ranch. Not a normal wolf, bigger, smarter. My wife Elena was 8 months pregnant. The stress sent her into labor early. He paused, jaw working. Our son was born too soon. Lived 3 hours. Elena held him while he died. She was never the same after that. Stopped talking, stopped eating. 2 years later, she walked into the barn and hanged herself. "Thomas, I'm so sorry." I blamed wolves, but not just any wolves. I blamed the wolves your father created. So I sued the government, said they'd released dangerous animals that killed my son and destroyed my wife. What happened? They said no such project existed. Denied everything. I lost the lawsuit. Evidence insufficient, they said. Spent 30 years trying to prove I wasn't crazy. He stepped closer. "That wolf up there is my proof." Understanding crashed over me. "You want to use her to reopen your case?" "I want justice, compensation, recognition that my family was destroyed by government negligence. Even if it means killing that wolf? My son is dying, Sarah." I blinked. "Your son? Jake?" "He's not dead, but he's not living either. Afghanistan broke something in him. PTSD so bad he can barely function. He's in a long-term treatment facility. Costs $85,000 I don't have." I didn't know Jake survived. Barely. He came home in a box, just not a wooden one. The ranch is mortgaged to pay for his care. I'm 3 months from losing everything my grandfather built. His voice cracked. "That wolf's DNA proves the project existed, proves the government lied. I can sue again, win a settlement, save my son and my land." I saw him clearly then. Not a villain, just a desperate father. "There has to be another way," I said. 30 years, Sarah. There is no other way." "You'd kill her for money?" His eyes flashed. "I'd do anything to save my son." "Wouldn't you?" The question hit like a physical blow. Would I? If Michael were still alive, suffering, needing help I couldn't afford, would I sacrifice a wolf to save him? I didn't answer. "I know about your boy," Thomas said quietly. "Jake told me about Michael, about how he died." "What did Jake tell you?" "That Michael saved his life. Jake was pinned down by enemy fire. Michael covered him, drew the shots, took 3 bullets meant for my son." My knees nearly buckled. I'd known Michael died in combat, but not this. Not that he'd deliberately sacrificed himself. "Jake can't live with it," Thomas continued. "The guilt is eating him alive. He's tried to kill himself twice.
The only thing keeping him going is knowing Michael's sacrifice can't be for nothing. But he's drowning, Sarah. And I'm watching my boy die right in front of me, just like Elena did. I understood then why he was here, why he'd tell me this. We were the same, two parents destroyed by the same war, grasping for anything that might make our children's suffering mean something. "I can't let you take that wolf," I said, my voice breaking. "Then you're choosing animals over my son. I'm choosing not to make more victims. That wolf is already a victim of your father's arrogance. He played God and created something that shouldn't exist. My family paid the price. Jake is still paying it. Killing her won't bring back what you lost. No. But it might save what I have left." We stood in the fading light, two broken people with no good options.
"I'm going up there at dawn," Thomas said finally. "I'll take the samples I need, blood, tissue. Then I'll leave her, alive if I can. But one way or another, I'm getting my proof." "Don't do this. Don't try to stop me." He turned back to his truck, then paused. "I'm sorry about Michael. Jake talks about him every day. Says he was the best man he ever knew. Jake did the best he could in an impossible situation. I wish he believed that." Thomas climbed into his truck. "Dawn, Sarah, stay out of it." He drove away, leaving me shaking in the empty parking lot. I sat in my truck, mind racing. Options: move the wolves. Impossible, Luna was too weak. Call authorities. They'd euthanize the hybrids. Warn Thomas off. He was too desperate to listen. The clock was ticking. I started the engine and drove home. But instead of stopping at my house, I continued to the storage unit where I'd kept my father's things. Boxes I hadn't opened in 7 years. The unit smelled like dust and regret. I found his personal effects in the back: journals, papers, photographs. I'd never had the courage to go through them after his death. Now I didn't have a choice. The journal was leather-bound with a small lock I forced open with a screwdriver. My father's handwriting filled page after page. I started reading. January 1989. Project approved. Goal: create resilient wolf population through selective breeding. The species is dying. We have to try something radical. June 1990. F1 generation born. 8 pups, all healthy. Introducing Alaskan Malamute DNA to enhance survival traits. God forgive us if this goes wrong. March 1992. F2 generation shows promise but concerning behaviors. Too intelligent. Learning patterns too complex. Project lead wants to terminate. I've argued for continuation. November 1992. F3 generation born. 12 pups. Beautiful and terrible. They understand commands. They problem solve. They watch us with eyes that seem almost human. I'm frightened of what we've created, but more frightened of destroying it. June 1993. They're shutting us down. Military oversight wants full termination. They see weapons, not conservation. I see miracles, not mistakes. I've made arrangements to release 12 specimens before the order executes. May God forgive me. The final entry was dated August 3, 1993, 2 days before his death. They know what I did. They've threatened prosecution, but I think they'll choose a quieter solution. If you're reading this, Sarah, I'm probably gone. Find them. Protect them. They're not monsters. They're proof that humans can create beauty even when we mean to create tools. The truth is hidden where they can't reach it, in the teeth of the beast. My hands trembled. Teeth of the beast. Another riddle. I kept reading, finding a list of names. 5 scientists who'd opposed termination. 4 were marked with dates. Dr. James Marsh, died 1997, natural causes. Dr. Patricia Levin, died 1996, car accident. Dr. Marcus Chen, Ding, 1998, heart attack. My father's name was 5th, Dr. Richard Winters, died 1993, heart attack. Only one name had no death date, Dr. James Marsh, relocated. Wait, James Marsh appeared twice on the list. I looked closer. The first was marked deceased, the second written in different ink. Relocated. Montana. Safety. I pulled out my phone, searched the name, found an obituary from 2 months ago. Dr. James Marsh, 89, passed peacefully at Mountain View Care Facility, Billings, Montana. My breath caught. Evelyn's last name was Marsh. Her grandfather had died recently. She'd mentioned it once, years ago. Evelyn's grandfather had been part of Project Moonlight. That's why she'd come to Yellowstone. Not just for the job. She was looking for answers about what her grandfather had done. I'd brought her right to the evidence. I couldn't sleep. At midnight, I made my decision. I packed supplies, flashlight, sleeping bag, what little food I had, and drove back to Yellowstone. It was illegal to be in the park after hours, but I was beyond caring about rules. The hike took 2 hours in darkness. My flashlight beam carved narrow paths through absolute black. Every sound made my heart jump, but I kept climbing. I reached the clearing at 2 in the morning. The male, Ghost, emerged from shadows like he'd been waiting. He didn't growl, didn't threaten, just watched as I approached. "I'm staying tonight," I told him, "to protect your family." He tilted his head in that unsettling way, then led me to the cave entrance. Luna was sleeping, the pups nursing in their dreams. I set up my sleeping bag at the cave mouth, positioning myself between the wolves and whatever might come. Ghost lay down beside me. His body heat radiated in the cold mountain air. I'd never imagined I'd sleep next to a wolf, but tonight it felt safer than sleeping alone in my empty house. Exhaustion pulled at me, but I fought to stay awake. I had to watch for Thomas, had to be ready. At 2:15 a.m., Ghost suddenly went rigid. His ears shot up. A low growl rumbled from his chest. "What is it?" I whispered. He moved to the cave entrance, staring into the darkness. Then I heard it too. Footsteps. Human. Coming closer. Too early. Thomas had said dawn. I stood, heart hammering. "Who's there?" A flashlight beam appeared through the trees. The figure that emerged was younger than Thomas. 30, maybe. Unsteady gait, carrying a rifle. He stepped into the moonlight, and my breath caught. He looked like Michael. Same build, same way of moving. But his eyes were wrong, haunted, wild. "I'm Jake Garrett," he said, voice shaking. "I need to fix what I broke." Ghost was snarling now, ready to attack. I stepped between them. "Jake, put the gun down." "I can't." "I have to do this." "Do what?" "Fix it." Fix everything. His words tumbled out fast, disconnected. Michael's watching. He knows I failed him. My blood turned to ice. Michael is gone, Jake. No, he's here, in the wolf. I see his eyes. He raised the rifle, aiming at Ghost. If I save Dad, Michael will forgive me. Jake, your father doesn't want you to do this. He needs me to be brave, like Michael was brave. His finger moved to the trigger. I stepped directly into his line of fire. You'll have to shoot me first. That made him pause, really look at me. You're Michael's mom. He showed me your picture. You sent cookies to our unit. Chocolate chip. That's right. I'm Sarah. I kept my voice gentle. Michael was my son. I let him die. No, he chose to save you. I should have saved him. You couldn't. It wasn't your fault. Everyone says that. His voice broke. But it doesn't help. I know. I live with it too. I took a step closer. Give me the gun, Jake. I just wanted to make Dad proud. You don't need to kill anything to make him proud. Behind me, Luna emerged from the cave. She'd heard the threat, smelled the danger. Maternal instinct overrode her weakness. She charged towards Jake, silent, deadly. Jake spun. The rifle was still in his hands. His finger was on the trigger. The shot exploded through the clearing. Ghost dropped. Time fractured into terrible pieces. I saw him fall, saw blood spray, heard Luna's howl cut through the night like a knife. I ran to Ghost. He was down, bleeding from his left shoulder. Through and through wound. Not fatal if treated quickly, but he was losing blood fast. He tried to rise, couldn't. His leg wouldn't support his weight. Luna stopped her charge, turned back to her mate. She licked his wound frantically, whimpering. Jake collapsed where he stood. The rifle fell from his hands. He put his face in his palms and sobbed. I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to. Something in me snapped. Not anger. Clarity. I grabbed Jake by his jacket, pulled him to his feet. Get up! I need your help. I can't. Jake Garrett! Michael died so you could live. Don't waste it. Get up and help me save this wolf. The sharpness in my voice cut through his breakdown. Training kicked in. His hands steadied. I'm a combat medic. Good. Then you know what to do. We worked together. I used my shirt to pack the wound. Jake applied pressure with practiced efficiency. The bleeding slowed, but didn't stop. Ghost needed surgery. Bullet fragments had to be removed, tissue debrided, blood vessels repaired. I pulled out my satellite phone and called Evelyn. I need you at the cave, now. Bring a surgical kit. Sarah, it's 3 a.m. A wolf's been shot. He'll die without surgery. The male? What happened? I'll explain when you get here. Please hurry. 90 minutes. 90 minutes. Ghost might not have that long. Jake and I maintained pressure on the wound. Luna stayed close to her mate, occasionally looking at me with eyes that held understanding and accusation both. Tell me about Michael, Jake said quietly, so I did. I told him about Michael at 5, wanting to save every injured animal he found. Michael at 16, heartbroken over his first girlfriend. Michael at 21, enlisting despite my tears. The letters he'd sent, always reassuring, always optimistic. He wrote about you, I said. Said you made terrible coffee, but told the best jokes. Jake laughed weakly. Worst coffee in the unit. He never let me forget it. Tell me about the day he died. Jake's voice went flat, distant. We were on patrol. Ambush. I was pinned, couldn't move. Michael was behind cover. He could have stayed there, stayed safe, but he saw me, saw I was trapped. He ran out into the open, drew their fire. I watched him take 3 rounds. By the time I could move, he was gone. His last words? Tell my mom I love her. Tell her I'm not scared. Jake looked at me. But I know he was scared. I saw it in his eyes. He just didn't want you to know. I was crying now. He was always protecting me, even at the end. I think about it every day. Those 3 seconds where I was frozen.
If I'd moved faster, if I'd been braver.
You did the best you could in an impossible situation. I don't know if that's enough. It has to be, because he's gone and you're still here. You have to make that mean something.
Ghost suddenly convulsed. Seizure, blood loss, and shock were setting in. Luna howled, a sound of pure grief that carried across miles. I held Ghost's head. Stay with me. Your babies need you. Luna needs you. Stay. His yellow eyes found mine. In that moment, I saw his choice. He was fighting to stay, not for himself, for his family. That's it, I whispered. Fight. Headlights appeared in the distance. Evelyn was coming, but Ghost's breathing was getting shallow. His eyes were starting to glaze. Don't you dare, I told him. Don't you dare give up now. His chest rose, rose again. We just needed him to hold on a little longer.
Evelyn arrived running, medical kit bouncing against her hip. She took one look at the scene. Ghost bleeding, Jake holding pressure, Luna pacing frantically, and shifted into professional mode. Can you save him? I asked. I'll try. Clear space. We moved Ghost slightly into better light. Evelyn set up battery-powered surgical lamps. Luna was agitated, protective, dangerous. I stayed with her, murmuring reassurances. Let her work. Trust me. Against every instinct, Luna backed down. She watched Evelyn with those intelligent eyes, tracking every movement. Evelyn noticed. This wolf is watching me work. That's not normal behavior. I know, I said. Sarah, what's really going on? I pulled out the collar and handed it to her. My father's project. Your grandfather's project. Evelyn read the engraving and went pale. Project Moonlight. My grandfather? She looked up at me. What did they do? They created wolf-dog hybrids, trying to save the species through selective breeding with Alaskan Malamutes, made them stronger, smarter, too smart. The military wanted to weaponize them. Your grandfather and my father refused. They released 12 specimens before the program was terminated. Evelyn stared at Ghost and Luna. These are... Yes, the last living proof. We have to report this. They'll be killed. Protocol requires euthanasia of all hybrids. Sarah, I'm legally obligated. I'm asking you not to. As a friend. As your mentor. My father lost 3 fingers and his life protecting these wolves. Is one more sacrifice too much? Evelyn's jaw clenched, but she returned to Ghost. She worked in focused silence, extracting bullet fragments, cleaning the wound, debriding damaged tissue, suturing layer by layer. 90 minutes of meticulous surgery while Jake assisted, and I kept Luna calm. Finally, Evelyn sat back. He'll survive if infection doesn't set in. But it's close. Relief washed over me so strongly I nearly collapsed. Then we heard an engine, another vehicle approaching. Dawn was breaking, painting the sky pink and gold.
Thomas emerged from the trees. He saw the scene, his son, the wounded wolf, all of us, and stopped dead. "Jake? What the hell are you doing here?" Jake stood slowly. "I tried to help, Dad. I thought—" Thomas saw Ghost's bandages. "You shot it?" "It was an accident," Luna charged, and "This is what I warned about." Thomas's voice rose. "These things are dangerous." "Your son shot Ghost," I said sharply. "Ghost was protecting his family. Who's dangerous here?" "Don't twist this around." Evelyn stepped forward. "Mr. Garrett, I'm Dr. Marsh. These wolves aren't dangerous. They're highly intelligent beings who deserve protection." Thomas stared at her. "Marsh? As in James Marsh?" "My grandfather." "Then you know what these things are." "They're not things. And yes, I'm learning what they are. They're proof that conservation work can succeed, even through unconventional means." "They killed my wife." I pulled papers from my bag, documents I'd found in my father's files. "No, Thomas. Your wife died of lupus. Here's her death certificate. The stress from the 1995 attack didn't help, but that attack wasn't from hybrids. DNA analysis from that incident shows pure wolf genetics. I have the archived report here." I handed him the papers. He read them with shaking hands. "The government lied about many things," I continued, "but not about that attack. You've been chasing the wrong enemy for 30 years. Thomas's certainty crumbled. "But the lawsuit, everything I believed, was based on false assumptions. I'm sorry." Jake moved to his father. "Dad, I thought I was helping. I thought if I got proof, we could save the ranch and you'd—" Thomas grabbed his son in a fierce embrace. "Nothing's worth losing you. The ranch doesn't matter. You matter." "But the money—" "Fuck the money. I can lose land. I can't lose my son." They held each other while Jake sobbed into his father's shoulder. Years of walls breaking down in the dawn light. Thomas looked at me over Jake's head. "Why didn't you tell me?" "About the death certificate? You needed someone to blame. The wolves were easier than accepting she died of disease." He flinched. "My whole crusade was built on grief." "I understand. I've built my own monuments to pain." "What do I do now?" "Help us protect them. Turn your anger into purpose." Evelyn interrupted. "I need to understand what my grandfather did." She was looking at my father's journal, which I'd brought. "Can I read this?" I handed it over. She read silently, horror and pride warring on her face. "He tried to stop the termination. He risked everything." "He saved these wolves," I said. "Gave them a chance." "Where is he now? I need to talk to him." "He passed away 2 months ago. I saw the obituary. He was your grandfather, wasn't he?" She nodded, tears forming. "We weren't close. He had dementia. I came to Yellowstone partly to understand what he'd done, what he'd been part of. I found some of his old notes after he died, cryptic references to Project Moonlight." "Did he leave anything else? Any other information?" "Some journal entries, mostly incoherent. But he kept saying something about the teeth keeping secrets." She paused. "What does that mean?" My father had written the same thing. "In the teeth of the beast." It's where he said he hid proof of what the military wanted to do with the hybrids. Thomas spoke up. "The military wanted to weaponize them?" According to my father's journal, yes. Field tested them on human targets. That's what he was going to expose. That's probably why he died. Jake looked stricken. Wolves used as weapons? Wolves that followed commands, tracked better than dogs, had intelligence to assess threats. Perfect military assets. That's insane, Evelyn said. Is it? We've weaponized everything else. Thomas asked quietly, "How many scientists from that project are still alive?" "As far as I know, none. 4 died within 5 years of the shutdown, all ruled natural causes or accidents." "Your father was murdered." "I believe so, but I can't prove it." We stood in heavy silence. Then Evelyn made a decision. "The DNA samples I took yesterday, they're going to show hybrid genetics. I can't change that. But I can have a clumsy accident where the samples are destroyed. Request permission to resample, which will be denied due to budget cuts. Case closed." "You'd falsify records?" I asked. "I'd protect an endangered species from bureaucratic murder." She looked at me. "You taught me that compassion matters more than protocol. Time to practice what you preached." Pride swelled in my chest. "You're braver than you look." "Learned from someone stubborn." Thomas cleared his throat. "What if I helped? I own 200 acres adjacent to the park. What if I established it as a private conservation area? Protected zone for the pack?" I stared at him. "After everything, you'd do that?" "I spent 30 years being wrong. Time to spend some years being right." He looked at Jake. "We were going to lose the ranch anyway to medical bills. Might as well lose it to something worthwhile." Jake's face showed shock. "Dad, your treatment matters more than land. But maybe we can do both. Sell the development rights. Use that money for your care and to set up the conservation area. Name it something that honors the sacrifice that saved you." I understood. "Michael's Rest Wildlife Sanctuary." Thomas nodded. "If that's okay with you." Tears blurred my vision. He'd be proud. A sound from the cave made us all turn. Luna was licking something, making soft noises. I grabbed my flashlight and went inside. The beam found Luna nursing the 5 pups, but she was focused on something else, something small, a 6th pup. "What?" I breathed. The others crowded behind me. Evelyn pushed forward. "Sometimes runts hide in the birth canal, can survive hours waiting." The pup was tiny, weak, struggling. Its fur was pure white, albino or genetic throwback. "Ghost's recessive genes," I said. The pup wasn't nursing well, too weak. Evelyn examined it quickly. Failure to thrive. Common in 6th pups, might not survive without intervention. Luna pushed the pup toward me with her nose. The gesture was unmistakable. "Help my baby." I picked up the tiny thing. It fit in my palm, barely breathing. "You trust me with your child?" "You can't keep a wolf pup," Thomas said. "Not keep. Foster, until she's strong enough to return." I looked at Luna. She consented. Evelyn nodded. "Tube feeding every 2 hours. I'll teach you." The white pup opened her eyes, bright blue, unfocused. Something about her felt significant. Born from chaos, from violence, from impossible trust. Born despite everything that said she shouldn't exist. "Hope," I whispered. "Your name is Hope." Jake moved closer. "After everything that happened tonight, a new life?"
That's how the world works, I said. Death and birth, all tangled up together. We get to choose which one we serve. Ghost stirred, consciousness returning. His eyes found Luna, then the pups, then me holding the white one. Some kind of understanding passed between us. We're going to protect your family, I told him, all of us, together. The sun cleared the mountains, flooding the clearing with gold light. 6 wolves, 4 humans, and 1 impossible alliance. The beginning of something I couldn't name yet. But it felt like redemption. The first week changed all of us. I took Hope home, this impossibly small white wolf who fit in my hands like a prayer. Tube feeding every 2 hours meant I didn't sleep, but I didn't mind. For the first time in 5 years, I had a reason to wake up. Evelyn visited daily, teaching me techniques I'd forgotten, reminding me of skills I thought I'd lost. Jake volunteered for night shifts, sitting in my kitchen at 2 a.m., helping me measure formula, holding Hope while I prepared supplies. We talked about Michael. Really talked. Jake told me stories I'd never heard. I told him things I'd never shared with anyone. Thomas threw himself into converting his barn into a rehabilitation space, working 16-hour days with an energy I hadn't seen in anyone his age. He sold the development rights to his ranch for $180,000. It saved him from foreclosure and funded Jake's treatment and the conservation project both. Every day, I carried Hope back to the cave. Luna would sniff her, lick her, then let me take her away again. Ghost watched these exchanges with what I can only describe as gratitude. His wound healed cleanly, no infection. By day 3, he could walk. By day 5, he brought me a rabbit, dropped it at my feet like an offering. I cried when he did that. Jake found his own healing in the work. He talked to the wolves, told them about Michael, about the war, about the guilt. I watched him grow steadier, more present. Purpose was doing what medications couldn't. Thomas and I had long conversations while we worked. 2 parents who'd lost everything, finding unexpected kinship. "Your son died a hero," he told me once. "My son gets to live because of him." "Then help him live well," I said. He did. Thomas made the decision to name our project Michael's Rest Wildlife Sanctuary. The sign went up 2 weeks after that terrible night. Jake painted it himself. We still had one mystery to solve. I kept thinking about my father's words, "in the teeth of the beast." Evelyn's grandfather had said something similar before he died. The teeth keep secrets. 3 weeks after Ghost was shot, I had a breakthrough. I was looking through my father's dental records, found in a box of his personal effects, when I noticed his dentist's name. Dr. Leonard Savage. Savage. Beast. In French, they were the same. I drove to the address listed. The building was scheduled for demolition the following week. I broke in through a back window, adding trespassing to my growing list of crimes. The office was gutted, empty, but I found a loose panel in the wall behind where the reception desk had been. Behind it, a metal box. Inside, USB drives, documents, photographs. Evidence of field tests using hybrids to track and attack human targets in controlled scenarios. Military memos discussing asset deployment. Correspondence showing that when scientists objected, they were systematically silenced. My father hadn't died of a heart attack.
Neither had the others. I took the box and left. But I didn't go to authorities, not yet. The wolves were too vulnerable, and I didn't trust that whoever had killed my father was gone. Instead, I made copies, put them in safe deposit boxes, sent them to lawyers with instructions, if anything happens to me, release everything. Then, I focused on the living. 3 months later, Michael's Rest Wildlife Sanctuary opened officially. Thomas served as director. Jake worked as staff, living in a small cabin on the property near his treatment facility.
Evelyn took a part-time position as medical director. I consulted, unpaid, because the work itself was payment enough. Luna's pack thrived. The 5 pups grew rapidly, exploring their territory with boundless energy. Ghost recovered completely, reclaiming his role as alpha. And Hope, tiny, fragile Hope, grew strong enough to return to her family. The day we released her, I carried her to the cave one last time. Luna took her immediately, no hesitation. Ghost sniffed me in what I chose to interpret as thanks. "Take care of her," I whispered. They did. The sanctuary attracted visitors, controlled numbers, educational focus. Revenue funded operations and then some. Thomas gave tours, and his transformation inspired people. "Former wolf hater now protects them," ran in the regional newspaper, then got picked up nationally. Jake did an interview. "Sometimes the enemy you're fighting is the pain inside you," he said. The clip went viral. I did one too. At 62, I found purpose again. It's never too late. Donations poured in. The sanctuary expanded. We took in other wolves, other animals. But Luna's pack remained the heart of it. I stayed vigilant, though, watching for government interest, monitoring unusual questions from visitors, looking over my shoulder. So far, nothing. But I kept my father's evidence close, just in case. My evenings settled into a new routine. I'd visit the pack at sunset, watching them from the observation point Thomas had built. Then I'd go home and look at Michael's photo. "I did something good, baby," I'd tell him. "Hope you're proud." 1 year after that terrible night, we held a celebration at the sanctuary, my 63rd birthday. For the first time in 6 years, I wasn't alone. Luna's pack was visible from the observation point. The 6 pups, juveniles now, played and roughhoused while Ghost and Luna watched. They were teaching the young ones to hunt, to survive, to be wild. Thomas approached me with Jake beside him. "Thank you," Thomas said. "For what?" "For showing me another way." Jake added, "1 year sober today." His eyes were clear, focused, alive. I hugged him. "Michael would be so proud of you." Evelyn joined us with news. My grandfather passed away last night, peacefully in his sleep. We stood in respectful silence. Then Evelyn continued. "His final words were for you, Sarah. He told the nurse, 'Tell Sarah the teeth are safe now.' I didn't fully understand, but it felt like closure, like my father and her grandfather, who'd fought the same fight, could finally rest." That evening, as the sun set over the mountains, I told them about the evidence I'd found, the proof of what the military had done, the truth about how our fathers died. "What are you going to do with it?" Thomas asked. "I don't know yet. Part of me wants justice. Part of me wants to protect what we've built here." "Maybe you can do both," Evelyn said. "Maybe." We'd become a family, the four of us, bound not by blood, but by shared loss, shared purpose, shared hope. The sanctuary became a model program. Other states reached out, wanting to create similar reserves. Legislation was proposed. The Moonlight Protection Act, establishing case-by-case evaluation for accidental hybrids rather than automatic euthanization. I was asked to testify before state Congress. I told our story, Luna's story, my father's story, the story of how grief can transform into purpose if you let it. The law passed. It was named in honor of Project Moonlight, not to celebrate what had been done in secret, but to bring it into the light, to say, these lives matter, these beings deserve protection. Full circle. My father's work, which had nearly destroyed us all, redeemed. That evening I went alone to visit the pack. The sanctuary was closed, quiet. Just me and the wolves in the fading light. Hope, the white juvenile, did something rare. She approached the observation fence. Most wolves avoid human contact, but she came close, sat down, looked at me. For a long moment we regarded each other, foster mother and foster daughter, two beings who shouldn't have survived, but did. "You're welcome, little one," I whispered. She returned to her family, to Ghost and Luna and her 5 siblings. They played together in the golden light, unaware they were living proof that beauty can come from tragedy, that hope can survive even in the darkest places. I pulled Michael's photo from my pocket. I carried it everywhere now. Looked at his young face, frozen forever at 24. "I did something good," I told him. "I saved a family. Maybe that's why I'm still here. Maybe that's what all this pain was for, so I could recognize suffering when I saw it and have the courage to do something about it." The wolves howled as night fell, a sound that once terrified settlers, that once meant danger, that Thomas had hated for 30 years. Now it sounded like music, like home, like the world healing itself, one small miracle at a time. I stood there until the stars came out, until the wolves settled for the night, until the cold drove me back to my truck. But I wasn't going home to an empty house anymore. Jake had started staying in my spare room sometimes when the nightmares got bad. Evelyn came for dinner twice a week. Thomas called to check on me daily. At 63, I'd found my family again. Not the one I'd lost, but the one I'd built from the wreckage. And that, I'd learned, was enough. More than enough. It was everything. Sometimes we think our best years are behind us. We look in the mirror and see all the things we've lost, people we loved, dreams we buried, the person we used to be. Sarah thought that too. At 62, alone with her ghosts and her grief, she believed her life's purpose died with her son. But on a mountain trail in Wyoming, she discovered something that changed everything. It's never too late to matter. A dying wolf, an impossible trust, and a choice to act instead of walk away gave Sarah what she thought she'd lost forever. Meaning. Not the life she planned, but something even more powerful. She learned that our greatest wounds can become our greatest gifts, that the love we've lost can teach us how to love again, and that sometimes saving another broken soul is exactly how we save ourselves. Your story isn't over. The world still needs what only you can give, your wisdom, your courage, your refusal to give up.
What moment made you realize you still had something important to offer? Have you ever saved something or someone and found it saved you instead? Share your story below. We're listening.